to becoming an entrepreneur from just being a mom and a homemaker?
It's all so surreal, like a dream come true. A work experience. I graduated, I got married, I did my post graduation. I continued to be a homemaker. I'm setting a good example for my son. Then I have to give my best in my life.
True.
Only then will he'll see me, because children don't listen to what you say, but they look at what you do and try to emulate.
You cannot teach everything.
Exactly. I started focusing on my physical health, strength training, my cardio, everything, whatever I needed to do. In fact, I'm fitter now than I was. Oh, I'm turning 40. Can I do something? I need to do at 40. If I don't do, then when am I going to do it? Raise funding, and having achieved whatever I achieved, I would have laughed at you.
Everybody in India today watches every episode of Shark Tank. And I have a treat for you today. In our studio today, we have Prasanna Vasanadu, who is one of the very few South Indian entrepreneurs to have won a funding from Shark Tank India. Prasanna, welcome to this podcast, and I'm so excited to have you here. I mean, your journey from being a homemaker to a Shark Tank star is like something to be, aspirational for every woman out there. Want to understand, like, how did this transformation happen in your life, from to becoming an entrepreneur from just being a mom and a homemaker?
I know. Actually, when I think back, look back, even for me, it is like, yeah, am I this one? Am I doing this? What is happening? If you ask me 5 years back that I will be here, as a founder of Tikitoro, as having done this, gone on Shark Tank, raised funding, and having achieved whatever I achieved, I would have laughed at you. Because it's all, so surreal, like a dream come true. So that is what it is. And I've never had any work experience before. No, absolutely no work experience. I graduated, I got married, I did my post graduation after marriage. I continued to be a homemaker. And then once my son was born, after 7 years of infertility treatments and all that, I enjoyed my motherhood. I, enjoyed just being there and, this baby, precious baby, and did that. And once he was born, yes, I volunteered as as a certified parent educator, because I got so passionate about parenting. And I just got to learn, and, talking about gentle parenting with connection was something I was very passionate about. And then I don't know, I think Tikitoro has just been that, that advocacy for children, which I had as a parent educator, that became just an extension of that advocacy when I became an entrepreneur. I think I was an aspiring entrepreneur. Like, I wanted to do something. I started Tikitoro when I turned 40. So till then, like, for most of my adult life, I've only been a homemaker. So at 40, with zero work experience, trying something, doing something itself was, I wanted to do. And Tikitoro, I mean, it just came and fell on my, lap, I would say. I was like, okay, let me do this. That's how it came to be. So if you still ask me, I'm like, am I doing this? Was I this before? And so it is all a surreal experience. Yes.
This sounds like such a nice, beautiful fantasy story, but it couldn't have been easy, right? The journey?
Not at all. Not at all. Because having no work experience, like zero, never worked ever in my life, to go into entrepreneurship, a business where you have to run it. You have to know every aspect of the business. You have to know about operations. You should know marketing. You should know branding. You should know accounts, finance, sales. Every aspect of business you should know. So I had to learn every single aspect of my business. I'm still learning. I'm a eternal learner, perpetual learner. I'm like, I'm addicted to learning. So that kind of helped, because every single thing. So in fact, the funny thing is, when I did my first performance review for a team member, I had this consultant give me this cheat sheet of questions to ask. So I had it in the side. I had his review in one side, and then I did the review for the person. So every aspect of my business, I had to learn from scratch. It's like as if like the child, I didn't even know the alphabets. And I was expected to write like paragraphs and like a novel. So I had to learn how to first trace the alphabets, write it, and then start, journaling that and writing a novel. So that is how it is. It is a very difficult journey, but I'm glad I didn't know how difficult it was when I started. So that kind of kept me going.
That's like maybe a blessing in disguise.
100%, 100%.
You know, what were the challenges that you faced, especially since you were such a passionate mother? I'm sure mom guilt would have been a thing for you, and that's a thing for everybody. Even if you just go out shopping and enjoy yourself, you feel guilty about
Yeah.
it.
So mom guilt is something I don't think I'll ever come out of mom guilt. I don't think any mom. I've not come across a mom who has not felt the mom guilt, or who doesn't continue to feel the mom guilt. My mom might feel mom guilt for me now. At this age also. So I don't think as mothers we have the privilege of saying I'll never feel mom guilt. It is there. What I have learned, so here is where when I, started, when I got trained and certified as parent educator, whatever I learned there, in terms of building that connect with my son, how do I do that? How do I parent him with connection? So all that foundation of what I learned, I feel, when I'm carrying it forward as an entrepreneur also, the mom guilt has it helps because I kind of know, okay, fine, this is what it is. Maybe I could give him a special time one-on-one, like, let me do this. And there are going to be days. So, and first thing I would say to ease mom guilt is to accept that it is going to be there. It is what it is. And I am doing the best I can, given the situation, given the circumstances that I'm in. And that is what it is. And I am setting, and another thing which helps ease that mom guilt is that I'm setting a good example for my son. I'm showing him that what it is for a strong woman, or as a role model for a mother, as a woman, as being there working, what I'm doing. And not only as a woman, as a person, if I'm going to expect my son to give his best in his life, then I have to give my best in my life.
True.
Only then will he'll see me, because children don't listen to what you say, but they look at what you do and try to emulate.
You cannot teach everything.
Exactly. So if I'm going to keep telling him, oh, you have to do your best, and I'm not doing anything, then how am I, why will he even listen to me? Whereas here he sees me do this and achieve whatever needs to be achieved. Of course, again, as you said, it does sound easy, but it is not. That mom guilt, the reality, there are days I have sat and cried. The days I've felt guilty, the days I've held my son close and said, you know what, I know this week I've been so busy at work. There are days I went back home at like 9, just to, in time he's like getting tucked in for bed. And I've told him, I know you think I'm, prioritizing my work over you, but that is not the case. It's just that this week it's been busy and I'm there, but next week I will. So I think what works for me is kind of focusing rather than a balance and integration, and between my work and my life, to say both go hand in hand. There are going to be days where I'm going to spend more time at work, and maybe my family time, the time I spend with my son, is going to come down. And there are times where I consciously take time off work to say I'm going to spend time with my family, I'm not going to look at work today. And so that is a constant thing. So somebody said it's not a balance, it's more an integration of both. And so focusing on that helps. It is a struggle, but you have to kind of remind yourself and work towards that self-acceptance and acceptance of the situation.
Entrepreneurship is tough.
Yes.
For a woman, a mother, a homemaker to be an entrepreneur, it's even tougher. What were your fail-safe mechanisms that you built around you, your friends and family, which helped you, the initial launching pad? Because it's not something you could have
Yeah.
achieved by yourself.
Not
Nobody
at
can.
all. I think they say it takes a village to raise a child. My brand is my child, and there is a village behind it. I have to say, first of all, my husband, he's been my greatest support, who believed in me. And because first of all, when we had the idea, I did have a lot of ideas. I was like, oh, I'm turning 40. Can I do something? I need to do at 40. If I don't do, then when am I going to do it? So we did come up with different ideas and dropped it. Then COVID came and we dropped. Then when this need for Tikitoro came up and the idea came up and we found this white space, we discussed and we felt that this is the right thing to do because there is a market, it is scalable and all that. And that is how we decided to invest in Tikitoro and take it forward. So my husband has been my biggest support. Having my family around, my parents are just down the road from me. They just and as I told you, my nanny.
Yeah.
Having, because I can, while my parents are there, other people are there. They're also older. Like my mother-in-law is at home, but she's old. She cannot take care of my son. My parents, while they're also aged, and they have their life to lead, so I can't expect them. So having the support system of my nanny, my cook at home, people at home who know whom I can trust, while the adult in the family, a family member is also there. The person who actually does it are also there. The persons who do it are also there, like my cook and the nanny. So if not for them, I cannot work. Because it's one thing I've realized is having the family support system is one thing, and having your paid staff members is also another as important aspect of building that support system, getting the trustworthy person, because the family can do that much, especially with aged parents. I cannot expect my parents to do everything for my son because I'm focusing on my career. Whereas when my nanny is there taking care of my son, and if my parents are around, it's easier for them and it is easier for my son. He has his grandparents, but at the same time, for grandparents, there is no stress of actually physically taking care of the child. So that's one thing I've really learned, and I would tell everyone also.
I completely understand. I mean, I was born after 15 years of my parents' marriage.
Yeah.
My dad is already 85. So when I had my kid, obviously I could not expect anything from them. They were already really old. So yeah, I
Correct.
understand
Yeah. So
what you're saying.
having that, and yes, having my friends, the support system, because they've been my biggest cheerleaders. In fact, I have this focus group of parents who kind of test our products, who try our products, who give feedback, and these are people who support me, cheer for me, at the same time brutally honest with me. And that is what you need also, to say, who hold a mirror to you and say, hey, this is what you're doing. Whether I'm doing right, they tell. If I'm doing wrong, they tell. And even with the product reviews, they also tell that only, okay, this works, this doesn't work, and all that. So very grateful for them. And beyond that, I would say, for I think every person, and more so for an entrepreneur, would be to take care of your physical health and mental health. I'm like obsessed.
I was just coming to that because entrepreneurship is a very consuming experience.
Completely.
It's not, there's no on off button, there's no Saturday and Sunday. So, how do you balance that?
Yeah, because going from a homemaker to an entrepreneur, it was a big shock to my system, my mental health, my physical health, everything, because you're used to some routine. It's not that I was like just lying around or lazing around at home. I had work, I was doing other things. But then here, focused work as an entrepreneur, being, on top of things and multiple things, and also taking care of home, and also being there for the child, his classes, his school, his this. It was a huge shock to my system. It was a huge shock to people around me also, because not having me around at home all the time.
I'm sure your son must have been scandalized.
Oh, he was like, so he will be like, you're not there, you're always thinking. But now he's used to it. But initially, it was a shock to him as well. And beyond that, what I realized is my energy level, I didn't have as much energy initially to balance both work, to integrate that work, whatever I needed to do at work, and then come home and do whatever I needed to do at home. I didn't have energy. That's when I realized the physical fitness was extremely important, because if you had to do it all, you need to have that high energy, and you need to be really fit. Because I it's not just the home that I had to take care of. I have to take care of work. So I cannot afford to fall sick. Because if I fall sick, also I have to take care. As an entrepreneur, my brand is a baby. So it's not like I can take leave and I can just chill at home. I have to take care of that as well. So I started focusing on my physical health, strength training, my cardio, everything, whatever I needed to do. In fact, I'm fitter now than I was, in my mid 30s. So 10 years ago. So that way I had to focus on my physical health and the equal importance. As I told you, I'm obsessed about the mental health also because it is a very, very draining, sometimes very lonely, very scary place also to be in. Because as an entrepreneur, and especially when I moved from a homemaker to an entrepreneur, and feeling all those, you feel overwhelmed, you feel upset, you feel, like, why am I doing this, what am I doing, you feel stressed, you don't sleep well, you don't have all that. And when you share it with someone, what everybody asks is, who asked you to do it?
Yeah.
Who asked you to do it? If I say, oh my God, I'm stressed, I'm doing this, who asked you to do it?
And what's, even though this must be a case for everybody, it's tough. Women are, thrown in with these extra hormones.
Yeah.
After your 40s, your perimenopausal.
Oh,
and
yeah.
That, as it is, presents a set of challenges. It couldn't have been easy for you.
No, it is not. And as you said, perimenopause is just about hitting and, or hit. And I'm going through it. So it is crazy. It's like it's a roller coaster ride. And I guess women, we are used to all the roller coaster rides, hormonally, because every, month it's cyclical and all that. So, but on top of that, what I've always focused on is to journal every day, to write my gratitude every day. I meditate every day. So all these are something. Sometimes I was actually and I also, talk to a psychologist regularly, because I think that is something people need to do. You don't have to have like serious thing or issues to take care of your mental health, because that is also like how you need a trainer to go and do your training. Talking to a psychologist or someone, to help with your emotional mental health is also important. So I do all that. In fact, sometimes I was just telling her, I journal, I do gratitude, I do this and that, and I was like, sometimes it's exhausting to take care of the mental health itself. I'm like,
I mean, I just take a break from all of that just to be like, I can't do this anymore.
yeah, and I've also noticed on the days where I'm like, okay, I'm not doing all that, the adverse effect is way higher. So I'm like, it's okay, even if it is a little exhausting, maybe I might trim here and there. Instead of writing full sentences, I might write one word, but I still do it. And that I've seen a huge effect, because physical health, mental health for an entrepreneur is very, very important. It is exhausting. It is too many things happening. And another thing is, for your team, you need to hold fort.
Hmm.
You cannot, kind of get too overwhelmed that the team has to support you and carry you forward, because you are leading the people, your team, and you're going along with them and you're taking them along. So if you kind of lose track of where you're going, then the whole, the path can get derailed. So that the track can get derailed. So that should not happen. So you need to be strong for your team as well. So that is
It's
what
so
it is.
nice that you spoke about mental health, because people think entrepreneurship is fancy and you have to be macho and you have to be strong, but that's not reality, right? All of us are just human after all.
Yes, I agree. Because yes, you have to be strong. Yes, you have to be, resilient. You should be able to, have that power, the grit to get up each time you're knocked down and keep going. Have this clear vision, the purpose, your why very, very strong, because that gives you the energy to move forward. So while all that is there, you also accept that, yes, I'm also human. Yes, I also need to give. So, I mean, the first thing we need to learn is to be kind to ourselves.
Yeah.
That is very important.
So, this entire thing of building your own brand and all of that, obviously you have invested money in it. And the fear of investing money, taking hard earned money from your family, of whatever, even your own savings, and building something when you don't know what the outcome could be, is such a scary thing, right? For every person. How did you navigate that?
It is scary. It is still scary. But we had huge conviction in what we were doing. I mean, when I'm saying we, because it's my family's money that I have invested, even the family believed in me and the journey. And here, so the basic thing was my product, my brand, what I was building. I had crystal clear, I still have, crystal clear clarity in that, because we are India's first personal care brand to build products, to formulate products, especially for this age group of 4 to 16-year-olds. So we have a kids range and our teens range, and we are the first brand in India to do that. To say for 4 to 10 is for kids range and our 11 to 16 is for teens range. And why did I do that? Because there was a gap in the market. And I went through my own, as I told you, my infertility treatments and my, the journey through that, having hormones injected in my body, my hormonal imbalances. What I realized was it's not just what you put on your body, because after that, after my son was born, my health took a toll. And that's when I started deep diving into holistic wellness. And I realized that it's not what just you eat or what utensils you cook in, but it's also what you put on your body. That is very important. And because that can harm your hormones in the body, because it can mimic a hormone in the body, creating imbalances. And I wanted to make sure my son was protected from it, because having him after so many years, I mean, even otherwise, every mom would want. It is not just me, because think for me, it was having him after so many years, but every mom would want the child to be like safe no matter what is the thing. So you want the best for the child. And so I was just so obsessed, because I went through this journey. I know what it is, the pain, the heartbreak, everything that I had to go through, the physical illness and everything. And of course, I wanted to keep him safe. I also come from a family of doctors, while I'm not a doctor. So I knew all about endocrine disruption, what is the thing. So my why was clear. So there were safe baby products, there were safe adult products, but there was nothing for kids who outgrew baby products, because baby products were meant for newborn skin and they were not cleaning my son enough. And here, my son, this outdoorsy boy, we have two dogs, roll on the grass, roll on the ground, roll on the dogs. Come back home, come back inside. I give him a bath with a baby product, he would still smell like dogs. Yeah. So to scrub him and all that. So that is when COVID came, I started doing the market research. Started just asking friends, where is the product? Because my supply chain, people coming from US, nobody came, nobody brought products. So I was like, what is there in India? And we found this white space, this space where kids who had outgrown, as I told you, baby products and and still young for adult products. When I started talking to a lot of parents, I realized that everybody wanted products for this age group. And since we believed that this is a market, this is a blue ocean, and we had conviction in it that this is huge market and this can scale, this can grow, that is when we said, okay, fine, let's put in the money to take this idea forward, because we did the market research. I did the market research. I spoke to lots of parents. I called, and during COVID, everybody was free to talk. I mean, everybody had time. We were all stuck in house, so I mean, in our home, so might as well call people. So I spoke to friends of friends. I asked them to connect me to other people. So many people I spoke to, and made sure that my idea was valid. There was actually a need in the market for my idea. And, this is what it is. And then only we said, we had the conviction to say, this is a need, this is a white space, this is a good opportunity, let's invest in it. So, before even taking that first investment, we made sure that this was a viable business idea.
On Shark Tank, you were called the honest brand. And I heard a lot of people. In fact, I met, I think I recently met an adult who uses your product. Honestly, after that, I also purchased your product. I'm using the 15-year-old shampoo. Um, But I met a product formulator who actually told me, and that's as real as it can get, right? Because they are the people who really know what goes into any product in the market. They were like, I was talking about my son's acne with them, and she was like, why are you so worried about it? Why don't you just buy the Tiki Taro product? And that's when I really understood that what you have done is actually a real thing. It's not a marketing gimmick. It's not something that you're just, we don't know, right? How much ever people say, and you hear on TV, you always have that thing like, oh, marketing ke liye to sab log karte honge. But yesterday, it kind of like, hit me hard that no, this is a product I can really rely on. So, um, I'm really glad I discovered your products.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I mean, this has been a very inspirational conversation, and I really hope that women who are watching it, not just women, anybody who's an aspiring entrepreneur, has the courage to trust in themselves and take that plunge.
Yeah, I think that is what it is. So, end of the day, don't regret not having taken that first step. That was the reason I started. I was like,
Did you have a plan B? If it didn't work, what would I do?
I mean, there was no failure was not an option. It still is not an option. I was like, I'm taking it, I'm doing it, I'm making it big. So we are on our journey to make that. So there is no plan B. So when you don't have a plan B, you have to make the plan A work.
It's either do or die.
Yeah, exactly. And I think as a mother, we never have plan Bs. It's like when you have a child, when you have the thing, you have to take it, do it, take care, raise whatever you do as, as a woman, as a homepreneur, or as a homemaker, whatever you are, you do it. There is no other alternate there. So like that, Tikitoro is my other baby. No plan B. Take it, go ahead, do it. And that's what it is.
Thanks, Prasanna. This was such an interesting conversation. And like I said, I really hope it inspires even one person watching this episode with you today. I'll meet you again on the next episode.
Thank you. It was wonderful to be here. Thank you for having me.